2023, a video creator named Chris shared a chilling personal encounter that left him shaken. One evening, Chris and his family were driving out to Joshua Tree National Park for a little adventure. It was getting late, and as they were walking across the 49 Palms Oasis Trail heading back to their car, something unbelievable happened. Chris spotted a strange humanoid creature standing on top of a massive rock up ahead. It was swinging its arms wildly and swaying from side to side, almost like it was preparing to attack. Frozen in shock, Chris couldn't believe what he was seeing. It took him a few seconds to snap out of it, but when he did, he quickly urged his family to get back to the car. Fast. Just as they jumped into the vehicle, the creature suddenly sprinted straight toward them. Chris later described it as a terrifying mix between a human and an ape. Its face was flat, its eyes were hollow and lifeless, and, disturbingly, it had no visible whites in its eyes. Its hair was a weird greenish-brown color, and its arms were so long they nearly dragged on the ground. When the creature reached their car, it reeked of something damp, rotten, and almost unbearable. Chris said, "That awful stench still haunts me to this day." This horrifying moment would be seared into Chris's memory forever. Now, Joshua Tree National Park is located in southeastern California, covering parts of both the Mojave and Colorado deserts. It's famous for its otherworldly Joshua trees and massive exposed granite boulders. Some of these rock formations look eerily like skulls, earning them the nickname Skull Rocks among locals and hikers. But Chris's story isn't the only strange thing tied to this park. Back in July 2018, a 51-year-old man named Paul Miller and his wife Stephanie headed to California for a summer vacation. They were both passionate about outdoor adventures, and Paul in particular was a seasoned hiker, known among friends as a strong, experienced trekker. On July 11, 2018, the day before they were scheduled to leave for Las Vegas, Paul decided he wanted to squeeze in one last hike. He set his sights on the 49 Palms Oasis Trail inside Joshua Tree. They booked a small green cabin nearby as a quick pit stop before flying out the next day. That evening, Paul suggested they take an early morning trip out to the oasis, just a short hike among the towering palm trees and natural springs. He thought they could finish the hike by late morning and still make it to the airport by their 11:30 a.m. flight. Paul called it a perfect plan. However, Stephanie was exhausted from all the traveling and wasn't really up for braving the desert heat again. Despite that, Paul was determined. The 49 Palms Oasis, known for its strange skull-like rocks and scattered palm trees, was too tempting to pass up. He planned to leave by 8 a.m., finish the hike around 11 a.m., and still have time to get back. Secretly, Paul also had another mission. He wanted to see if he could spot something, or someone, unusual. There had been rumors of Bigfoot sightings near Joshua Tree, and he was hoping to capture something on camera. Early the next morning, Paul packed his backpack, threw in a gallon of water, and set off on the trail. But in his rush, he made a critical mistake. He forgot to take his phone and wallet. July in Joshua Tree National Park is brutally hot. Temperatures often soar past 100 degrees Fahrenheit, over 37 degrees Celsius. By 11:30 a.m., checkout time had come and gone, and Paul Miller still hadn't returned. His wife, Stephanie, started to worry. She knew Paul. He wasn't the type to just disappear or show up late without a reason. Her anxiety quickly turned to fear. Driven by growing panic, Stephanie rushed to the park's visitor center and reported her concerns to the staff. At first, the park ranger on duty, a man named Robinson, tried to reassure her. He explained that it was pretty normal for hikers to run late, especially experienced ones. But as noon came and went with no sign of Paul, concern grew. 2 rangers were dispatched to the trail entrance where Paul had started his hike. They found his gray sedan parked nearby. Inside, they spotted a container of water but no sign of Paul himself. The rangers began searching the entire 49 Palms Oasis Trail. According to early search reports, the area, though seemingly barren, is full of giant boulder piles and hidden ravines. If Paul had fallen into one of these natural trenches, finding him would be incredibly difficult. By the 3rd day of the search, dozens of volunteers, search dogs, ATVs, helicopters, and rescue teams from all over had joined the effort. On July 15th, a witness came forward. telling the Park Service that they might have seen Paul 2 days earlier, on July 13th, the day after he vanished. The witness said, "I saw him moving quickly along the trail. He looked like he was in a hurry. I even waved to him. He seemed a little urgent, but otherwise he looked fine." Despite nearly 5 grueling days of searching in extreme heat, the rescue operation had to be called off. Authorities believed Paul's chances of survival in the desert were slim. Not only was he underprepared for the brutal conditions, but he had also left behind critical supplies like his phone and wallet. The official missing persons report listed several theories about what happened. The most likely idea was that Paul had wandered off the main trail in search of Bigfoot sightings to photograph, fallen into a ravine, and become immobilized by injuries, eventually succumbing to heat exhaustion. Another theory suggested he had ventured deeper into the desert and gotten hopelessly lost. The least likely theories included suicide or foul play. Flyers bearing Paul's face were soon posted all over the park, urging visitors to report any possible clues. For months, there was nothing but silence. Then, on December 6th, nearly 5 months later, a man made a frantic call to local police. Breathless, he said he had discovered what looked like a human spinal bone on a rock near the 49 Palms oasis. When rangers arrived, they found an exposed vertebra lying atop a boulder. DNA testing confirmed the worst. It belonged to Paul Miller. The sheriff, Jonathan, questioned the man who found the bone. The witness shared a chilling detail. "When I got close to Skull Rock, I heard this strange, low humming sound. As I moved nearer, my ears started vibrating. It made me nauseous, dizzy, and confused. It was like something was messing with my head. Strangely, no other remains were found nearby. No clothing, no backpack, no other bones. It almost seemed like the vertebra had been deliberately placed there." Paul's sister, Dawn, a video blogger, fought tirelessly to keep the search for answers alive. She repeatedly applied for permission to use drones in the park to search areas that rescue teams couldn't reach. Joshua Tree, however, has strict rules banning drones. Still, after over a year of pleading and pushing, Dawn finally won approval in November 2019 to conduct an aerial search. The plan: fly 3 to 4 drones across massive areas of the park for 3 straight days, capturing thousands of high-resolution images. Tech teams would then meticulously comb through the photos, looking for anything out of the ordinary. In December 2019, one of the analysts spotted something. In a drone image, there was a faint light-colored object on the ground. Upon closer inspection, it appeared to be a human rib cage. This photo was taken near Oasis 49, right in the area where the search for Paul Miller was focused. On December 20th, around 2 p.m., local police arrived at the scene. A team of searchers hiked along a narrow ridge, descending into the valley, heading toward the object captured in the photo. At about 3:30 p.m., they found something chilling: a pair of dark work shorts, partially buried in sand and pinned down by a massive boulder. The shorts were torn, caked in dirt, and severely weathered. After careful examination, they were confirmed to belong to Paul Miller. Nearby, they also found a single boot, and inside it a dried human foot. Further search efforts uncovered even more remains: a femur, ribs, and parts of a pelvis, scattered among the torn clothing. As rescuers explored the area, they stumbled upon something even stranger: deep crevices hidden between the rocks that led into narrow underground caves. Inside one of these caves, they discovered a human body, but the jawbone was missing. A purplish-gray backpack was found just a few feet away from the body. Inside the backpack were Paul's belongings: a rental car key, a Nikon camera, a roll of toilet paper, and about half a liter of water. Shockingly, they also found energy bars and jerky, clear signs that Paul wasn't dying of thirst or hunger. But the questions only grew. The entrance to the cave was barely large enough for an adult to squeeze through. For Paul, a man in his early 50s, to move the several-ton boulders blocking the entrance, crawl inside, and then somehow reseal it behind him, it didn't make sense. Some speculated Paul might have been injured, fallen into the valley, and sought shelter from the brutal desert heat inside the cave, only to die from other causes. Others suggested he could have been attacked by a mountain lion or coyotes, his body dragged into the caves afterward. But none of these theories explained why his clothing was pinned under a massive boulder. Then a chilling theory surfaced in the local community. Maybe Paul encountered something much stranger. Stories of a creature known as the Yucca Man, or the Mojave Bigfoot, have haunted Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona since the 1970s. Witnesses describe these desert giants as flat-faced, blending seamlessly with the barren landscape, standing 8 to 10 feet tall, covered in tangled greenish-brown hair. Unlike the forest-dwelling Bigfoot, the Yucca Man supposedly lives in the desert's vast underground cave systems. Joshua Tree National Park, where Paul vanished, is riddled with caves, many of which remain unexplored to this day. In 2023, the New York Times reported on giant humanoid skeletons discovered deep in Nevada caves. In fact, in 1931, miners uncovered 2 mummified giants in Lovelock Cave, both standing between 8.5 and 10 feet tall. If these underground systems connect across the desert, it might explain strange discoveries like the human vertebrae tourists occasionally find. Could Paul Miller have stumbled into the lair of something ancient and unknown? Or was it simply the desert itself, harsh, merciless, and mysterious, that claimed his life? One thing is clear: Paul's disappearance has become one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries of Joshua Tree. Paul Miller was born on May 24, 1967 in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. He was fiercely loyal, incredibly generous, and would do anything for a friend. Those who knew him still struggle to accept his loss. Facing a midlife crisis, Paul decided to celebrate his 50th birthday by getting a tattoo of a wolf across his chest, a symbol of adventure, resilience, and living free. He loved the wilderness, but in a tragic twist of fate, it was the wilderness that ultimately buried him. And those bleached bones lying quietly beneath the massive Joshua trees still paint a picture of a chilling and lonely end. We may never know what really happened to Paul Miller out there in Joshua Tree, but his story reminds us how little we truly understand about the wild places of this world. If you found this story as haunting and mysterious as I did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more unsolved mysteries, and share your theories in the comments. Do you believe Paul fell victim to nature or something much darker? Stay curious and stay safe out there.